This weekend we have a great contrast between our first reading and the other two readings. In the first reading, Job, in his suffering, questions the value of life. It all seems a drudgery. There doesn't seem to be any point. It doesn't seem to be achieving anything. Well, maybe many of us, whatever our way of life, may have those times when we question the point of what we're doing. Does it make any difference? Is there any point to it? But that's very different from the feel that we get from our second reading and from the Gospel. In the second reading, St. Paul is talking about his own mission. There's a drivenness about it. I would be punished if I didn't preach the Gospel, he says. Here he is, he has this mission, and that occupies his life. And then in the Gospel, Jesus is very busy. There's a great energy about today's Gospel. And yet, when he gets a chance to take a break from it and go and to spend time with his Father, when the disciples come and find him, they don't just go back to what they were doing, to all these crowds who are coming wanting to be cured and wanting to hear what he has to say. No, he says that they need to go on to the other towns as well and preach the Gospel there. Again, an enormous energy, an enormous sense of mission, an enormous sense of purpose to his life. What about ourselves? Well, I suspect there is quite a difference between us at the moment. Particularly in this time of COVID, there are many people who are extraordinarily busy caring for those who are sick, extraordinarily busy providing services, probably very little time to sit down to say, well, what's it all mean and what's it about? And yet, there are many others who will be finding that, well, here we are in lockdown, maybe I'm not able to work in the way that I was. My life has almost going to come to a standstill. And that's the point at which we might be tempted to be a bit like Job, to ask what the point is. What are we achieving? But I think our readings suggest a couple of ways in which we might find that energy, find that sense of purpose. One is in St. Paul. St. Paul is finding his energy from that encounter with Jesus that he had at the beginning, that he had on the road to Damascus. That mission that he's been given. And maybe we can look back and say, well, where did I find that energy in my own life? Where does my sense of mission from the Lord come from? What are those encounters that I can draw on? And secondly, as we see Jesus, what is it that leads him to say he needs to go on to the other towns? Well, it's that time with his Father, that time in prayer, renewing again the source of his mission, that gives him that energy, that sense of direction. So maybe, whatever our situation, whether we're extraordinarily busy or wondering what we might do, we can go back to those sources of our encounters with the Lord. We can take a little bit of time in the middle of it all for prayer to renew that sense of mission that we have received, so that we have that energy to live out the Gospel, whatever our situation.